Tape Deck Media.
My friend Dan, he's got a podcast, cause all comics need a podcast, and nobody had a podcast called The Art of Bombing. So Dan went out and bought a tape deck. Who knows why he bought a tape deck? Now podcasts don't get played on tape decks, but Dan is from the 80s. So hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's The Art of Bombing.
I don't know why I'm in the wooing mood, but here we are. I am a woo girl.
You're a woo girl
I'm
today.
over here trying to be Ric Flair, baby. Woo!
Woo!
Welcome
There it
to another new episode of the Art of Bombing podcast. I am your host, Dan Bublitz Jr., and with me, as always, is my co-host, co-producer, and co-host, Mr. Josh Shirley. How are you on this fine day?
Let me tell you that I'm sorry you had to miss episode 296 because there was a mummy, like a ghost, who did the show with me. Who like it looked like you, but it was just kind of an astral sort of affectation of Dan, and
it was a physical version of Dan, but it was not Dan.
You weren't there, so I was just trying to bring you back up to speed. Good episode. Glad to have you back, sir.
I'm glad to be back. Yeah, I'm sorry that my fill-in just, I decided to take some time off, and I thought, you know what? I'll give you a clone. And the clone
AI version.
The AI version of Dan just did not deliver.
Yeah, it just sounded like it had specifically influenza B. Like, I don't know how I picked that up from the tone.
I don't know.
The voice.
I don't know. You're pretty good. Are you a doctor, or do you play a doctor?
Well, it just didn't sound like influenza A to me. It didn't sound like A material.
It wasn't making the grade.
No, it didn't, because it clearly didn't have enough symptoms to completely miss the episode. So it showed up.
Exactly. It showed up.
It just had a voice
and
system.
Then didn't deliver.
Yeah. Well,
it
that's
had
enough talking about some show.
Voice symptom failure is what it had.
Right. Have we spent too much time talking about an episode that the person listening to may not have heard? Like, are we breaking a podcast rule?
Hopefully they listen to it. This is an intro for a new podcast. So if they didn't listen to the previous episode, that's on them. We're not. This isn't.
You heard it here, folks.
This isn't.
Damn you to hell.
Yeah, if you didn't listen, if you're new and you haven't listened to another episode, damn you to hell.
You missed all the context.
No, there's no contest. This is the intro for a new podcast. And this week we have a great guest. We have James Stanley on the podcast today. Fantastic comedian from the Twin Cities. I worked with him when I lived there. He's a regular at Acme Comedy Club. Tours all over the upper Midwest, and funny guy, doing really well. Been killing it on the social medias and all that. So, I thought it was a great conversation.
Great conversation with a memorable road story. You guys told us that you were interested in hearing more road stories. Well, we got one for you today.
Oh yeah, we do. Yes. He had quite the adventure.
Almost
it's
died,
funny too.
man.
Almost, yeah. It's funny too because you say that people, you mentioned how people want to hear more road stories. Also, somebody mentioned about how they want to hear more stories about the cars and stuff. And this has got both of them.
It's got a car story, and it's almost an ad for Prius. It's gonna sound like native advertising that they're not paying us enough for.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks to my it's a total.
Thanks to my Prius, I survived the night. That's the ad.
And I'm here to tell you that. Yeah, he's gonna be the Jared from Subway for Prius. This guy. The night
it's funny though.
Die in a snowstorm.
There are quite a few comedians who drive Priuses because of the hybrid status, and that they're good on gas mileage, and and you can convert them into campers pretty well. Like, they're pretty roomy. So it's pretty amazing.
Wait,
I know.
Are you working for Toyota now? What the
No,
hell's going
I'm
on?
not. I just know like 5 comedians that drive Priuses because of these
Dan
factors.
has been
That's
like zombified by Prius
I still
guys.
drive a
I'm not
Kia
gonna make
Soul
it.
though, so I'm driving a different foreign car.
Yeah, I
that
drive a Jeep.
doesn't have
That's
room for me to lay
pretty
down,
fun.
but I can apparently get 4 hamsters in there.
Which is a story for another day, folks.
Whole nother podcast, right? Oh man, that's great. Well, we'll get into this real quick. I do have another podcast out. I did mention it on the last episode. If you're into comic books and especially collecting new comics, whatever, you should check out my new podcast. I do it with Jeremy Plum, another former guest of the show. We have a new podcast called Panel Picks that we're really promoting, where we talk about the new releases coming out each week for New Comic Book Day, and comics we're reading and what we're looking forward to, what's probably going to be hot and all that. So if you're a comic book fan, check that out. You can see all my tour dates. I got a bunch of stuff coming up throughout the spring. I'm going to be going all over. I'm really pushing hard this year to get back out on the road as much as I can. You can go to my website, dbubcomedy.com. Follow me on all the social medias, dbub comedy. I know you're still doing the corporate stuff. You doing anything publicly?
Nothing public that people can come to who don't work at the place that I'm doing it at. So no need to pimp it.
Okay. All right. Well,
at least for now.
For now, I guess this is what you can do for Josh. Give him applause and accolades for being a good co-host and co-producer.
Right. Come DM me and I'll come to your place and do something for you.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a company that needs sales coaching, reach out to Josh.
True.
Or
if
you just want to come
help you turn that around, and it'll be funny.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's funny because when you started on this podcast, you were just a regular comedian, and now you're like the Rick Roberts of this podcast, because now you do more corporate and more speaking and training stuff than you do comedy.
When I spoke to him,
and that's a compliment. That's a compliment.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, like I love Rick Roberts, and last time I met with him, he said that when he does corporate stuff, it's still all his comedy. Like he does some talks, but I think if he had it his way, he would do more of those. Like he would do more talks,
more of the talks,
to work his humor into, and he's been really foundational for me to help me kind of form like to mold my comedy into stuff that I can I can do. That's
what I need to do. I want to do more of what you're doing. So, we can talk about that at another time, but we should get together and chat about that, because I would be open to getting some tips on how I can make that happen. But that's not for everybody listening right now. You guys are probably anxious to hear this episode with the very funny and very hilarious James Stanley. So let's get into our conversation with James. Enjoy.
And now it's time for the stand-up soundbite.
When I was 18 in high school, I started going bald senior year of high school, and that kind of fucked me up, because I don't know if you guys know how hard it is to buy weed in high school when everyone just thinks you're the substitute teacher. It's a task. Everybody's like, nice try, Mr. Stanley. And I'm like, I ride the bus with you, Bennett. Why don't you get me drugs right now? It's rough on your psyche going bald so young. Like when I remember, I had a good friend, Jeremy. In solidarity with me going bald, Jeremy got cancer. He doesn't even have it anymore. He's dead. I remember going bald, and I'm like, I don't want to go bald. So I'm manically Googling, right? You ever get on Google to find out how to fix your life? I'm Googling, I'm just do women like bald guys? And then Google was studies show that 68% of women find bald men more attractive and better in bed. And I'm well, this can't be right.
There's no way my odds are getting better after going to I was Googling, so I was like looking up all these articles. I was like, how to look good bald. And I remember I don't know if you know this, so many articles about this. Okay, people have been going bald forever, and they've always not been happy about it. So there's so many articles, and all of them have like kind of one like line in common, and it's basically every article, how to look good bald, every time, and then it's just like, hey, don't also be fat. That's basically, it's like hit the treadmill piggy, okay? That's what all of them say. I remember I was on like Google and I was like, how to look good bald? And I was like, how to look good bald? 3 easy steps. And I was like, perfect, this is what I need. 3 easy steps. And then it was like, step 1, get glasses. It'll add more to your face and distract people from your bald head. And I was like, okay, well, I have glasses, check. And then it was like step 2, grow facial hair to distract people from your bald head. And I was like, that's awesome, check, right, facial hair. And then it was like, step 3, be confident and love yourself. And I was like, hell yeah, 2 out of 3. Not too shabby. That last one's kind of a fucking cop-out, too, because like you could throw something like that at the end of any tutorial. Like you could just be like, how to roof a house, and it's like, step 1, get shingles. To distract people from your bald head. Step 2, find the tools you need. Step 3, believe in yourself, kiddo, you can do this.
It's the art of bombing.
Did you have any shows this last weekend?
This last weekend, what did I do? God, I can't remember. Everything blurs together. This weekend I got I guess this is I'm doing the Maine in La Crosse, one of the funny business rooms.
Oh,
And
right
I'm
on.
doing some show in Brainerd, headlining a show in Brainerd.
Ooh, that'll be fun. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been starting to headline this 2023 year I started headlining, so that's pretty fun.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously you've been doing comedy for a while. I've known you for several years now.
Yeah.
Do you think your social media following has helped get you to where you're able to headline a little more, because you kind of blew up on social media a little bit?
I think so. I think it's helped a little bit, but it's also I think it's helped me get more things, but I feel like, I feel like I'm ready as like just a comic and where I am with writing and performing, ready to, you got to start somewhere headlining,
No, absolutely. You do. Absolutely. Well, and to say, I mean, anytime somebody says, overnight success or whatever, because somebody blows up on social media or whatever, that's usually not true. Usually that performer has
been working forever, and then they just blew up
Yeah.
overnight, like online. Yeah.
Exactly.
It would really suck to be like 2 years into comedy and then pop and then just not be able to even have like 20 minutes. That would stink. I feel like that happens to people too. And
it does. I mean,
that's rough, dude. If you can't do an hour after you're able to sell out clubs, that's a rough position to be in, because you just lose steam and go down real fast. It
really is. Well, and that's kind of what happened to Dat Fan, not social media, but it was TV. He won that first season of Last Comic Standing, and he was a fairly new comic, and
I remember that.
Didn't
and
really
he got
have
a Comedy
the material
Central pretty fast, right?
Yeah, but didn't really have the material to back it, because that's what happens. Like I said, when you're a newer comedian, you gotta definitely helps to have the time and experience,
the skills, the chops,
Yep, gotta have those chops.
gotta get the big sloppy chops.
That's for sure. Well, that's great. Well, congratulations on the headlining gigs. That should be fun. That's a good reminder to me, because I need to I got an email from Funny Business that I need to update my stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I forgot to do
that.
I
have the opposite problem. I keep trying to update my stuff and they don't update. I'm like, hey, can you use this headshot where I actually look like I do? And, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just do it again at some point. I have like different glasses. Some people use headshots where I have hair, and I haven't had hair in a few years.
That's
It's like,
I'm
wow, this is
to me that's really funny because
it's hilarious.
yeah, I teach an EPK class, and that's one of the things I mentioned in the class is updating headshots periodically, and
Right.
because of that, because people change over time, and
Yeah.
different things, and
The only thing that's really changing now is maybe once every few years I'll get new glasses, but I think I'm gonna stick with this kind of frame. I kind of like these guys,
yeah.
but I had
Are
like
they?
the black
I was gonna
boxy
say, are
ones.
they clear?
They're like the frames. They're like goldish.
Oh,
Oh my
okay.
god,
Yeah,
they're
they are.
so
Okay,
fucking
I see
dirty.
it now. I was
They
like,
have like a gnarly scratch in this
oh
one.
no.
I know,
Yeah.
but what do you do?
Glasses are a pain.
Yeah,
Exactly. Just get a new pair
I prefer them
eventually.
over contacts though. I don't want to ever put contacts in. I'd much
Really?
rather have dirty, scratched glasses than contacts. Yeah,
Yeah,
just don't want to put something in my eyes every day.
yeah, I don't blame you on
Feels
that.
weird.
I don't think and I've never really asked, but I don't think I can do contacts anyway because of how
No.
bad my eyes are, but I've never really asked. But
Yeah.
then I was thinking about it because I just got these glasses a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I was like, after wearing glasses pretty much my entire adult life, I don't think I would
Yeah.
look right without them. It's
Yeah. I think that
part of
too.
me.
Let's take our glasses off. Let's take our
Yeah, here
glasses
we go.
off, Dan.
We'll do the podcast for a little bit without.
Oh
Yeah, we
yeah.
look so different. It's just
Yeah,
not.
we do. It's strange because it shouldn't be that drastic, but it
It shouldn't
is.
be. Yep.
It's like you barely have anything on your face, and then just a clear like. It's so weird how much it changes your appearance. Some
Yeah. Yeah.
people with wild prescriptions look horrendous without glasses. You know
Oh
those
yeah.
people
Oh
that eyes
yep.
get really big because of their glasses, and then they
Mm-hmm.
take them off, and you're like, oh, you're like a little mole. You got beady little eyes now without glasses.
That's kind of me. I mean, I have beady little eyes even with the glasses. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's funny to me. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't. I don't think I could do it either. But I wanted to ask though, just to see if I could. But I was
Oh,
like,
sure.
even if I could, I'm not gonna get them. It would change too
Yeah.
much.
And then you gotta like this is one thing to deal with. With contacts, you have like a bunch of stuff, and you gotta soak them, and then there's like
Mm-hmm.
the daily ones, the ones that last. It's like I don't want to
Sounds
be
like
that
such a
guy that like,
hassle.
yeah, it sounds bad and weird, and like you got to be like, ugh, like put it in your eyeball. And my eyes are sensitive.
Yeah.
Light hurts my eyes. I can't put plastic in it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm not like if a speck of dust gets in my eye, I'm like they like water like nuts. Like I can't like put
Yeah.
an object into it. I don't even like putting eye drops in.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. If you don't like even putting eye drops in, you definitely can't be putting
No,
contacts in. Do you
no.
have more than one pair? Do you like have like
I have a
so like
backup.
I have
Yeah.
a backup?
I always have a backup pair, but it was like my old prescription. So they like will
Oh,
work in a
okay.
pinch, but I always keep them in my car because
Gotcha. Yeah.
that's the time where I really need glasses. Like it should probably
Mm-hmm.
be illegal for me to drive without glasses, especially at night, because everything's just like doesn't look like it's just lights and beams.
Yep. No, I feel that. Now I go one step further. Every time I get glasses, I usually order because I order like off Zenny Optical, so I can get glasses pretty cheap. And
Yeah.
I usually order a couple pair, and so then I have my everyday pair, and then I
Mhm.
have my performing pair. So I wear a different pair of glasses on
Oh,
stage. So I have like, that it's part of getting ready to perform to me. It's part of putting on the
sure.
uniform. I
Sure.
change my glasses and all that stuff. So
Yeah, and then you don't get recognized that much in public. People aren't bugging you all the time because they can't recognize you.
exactly. It's my
Yeah.
Clark Kent. Instead of, taking the
It's just a
glasses
different
off,
pair
I
of
just switch them.
glasses.
It's just a
Yeah,
different pair.
yeah. The
Changes
crowd
my whole
glasses are
persona.
polarized, so you can see a little better through the dark. Can I smoke weed on
Yeah, they
this
got.
pod? It's legal in Minnesota and Denver.
Well, yeah, I don't think this pod matters if you smoke weed or not.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of them things where it's probably more determines where it's legal and isn't. But since you're in a place where it is legal, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I forgot that got legalized. This within this
Honestly, I
last
really
year, right?
didn't care because I've had my medical card for years.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't have it anymore because you have to, it's so messed up. You have to update it like every year. And if you wait too long to update it, you have to like pay $200, meet with a neurologist again, get qualified. And I waited too long this year. So now I'm just buying it from the boys, I don't want to pay $200 again and like meet with a
small
neurologist.
business.
Yeah. I'm supporting David,
There you go. Well, we could talk about glasses and weed all day, but let's get into the art of bombing.
Oh,
You've been
yeah,
doing comedy
the
for a while.
nitty-gritty.
The nitty
You
gritty.
know
I'm
what?
sure you
I've
got some
been
fun
doing comedy
stories.
for a while, and this story happened this year.
Oh man,
Yeah,
recent.
this was yeah, this was so rough. It was. I'll just get right into it.
Just get right into it.
It was one of those gigs where like I was the feature, but I was also like going up cold in the beginning.
Oh, so it was
So
like
I'm
a
doing like
2-person show.
Yeah. I'm doing 30 up top, and the headliner's doing an hour after me. It's one of those kind of things. And you probably know the booker, but
Yeah,
and like I will
have
say,
a feeling just based on the
I will
2-person
say,
format.
I will say most of the shows I've done through this guy have been really fun, and I've had a good time. But this one was
You're like, but not this one.
This one wasn't it, Dan. So do you remember the very last blizzard that happened? Oh, I guess you're in Denver. So there was the very last blizzard that happened in Minnesota this year, 2023. It was a horrific blizzard. And Jesus, my roommate's cat's just bugging me.
Wants attention.
Yeah, you're okay. Dude, he always wants attention, and then he swats at me. He's just a bad cat. He's a bad. I'm sorry, you're a good cat. Okay, so just get away from me. Okay, well,
that's not the first. That's not the first interruption that we've had from an animal. This podcast has been getting interrupted by pets and animals and all kinds of things since the beginning.
I mean, the podcast me and Max do, his dog's just around like all the time. But so it's the blizzard hasn't happened yet. So I'm driving to the gig. It's in Winona. It's like an a half, 2 hours away from the cities where I live, Minneapolis. And I'm driving there, smoking a little weed. I'm like, man, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be fun. I like doing longer sets, because I started headlining this year. I'm like getting those longer sets in. And I get to the venue, and it's looking good, dude. It's like this bar area with a kind of a showroomy place. It starts filling in. It's packed. It's very full. There's probably like for the venue, it's very full. It's like 60 people, maybe 50, 60 people. I've worked with the headliner before. We're talking. We're like, oh, dude, this is gonna be great. There's so many people here. This is cool. And then a guy comes up to me, and he's like, hey, are you one of the comedians? I was like, yeah, I'm one of the comedians. And then he's like, dude, it's my friend's birthday today. If I give you $20, if I give you $20, will you like shit on him a little bit and talk to him? I'm like, cool, where's it? And usually I would be like, no, but he's giving me $20. I'm in a good mood, I'm a little chopped, and he's like, make fun of my friend. I'm like, yeah, dude, I got you. And then he gave me $20. I go on stage and immediately start bombing. Like, it's just horrific. And like people, and like this is like a rowdy, like backwoods Winona. Like it wasn't even like the collegey part of Winona. It was like the bummy, like outer. It was like, and I was just, I started bombing so bad to the point where I was like, You know what? I do remember what I opened with. I opened with something about Biden because I thought it would be funny, and they just hated it. And I was like, okay, I'll get them back with the, eventually. And they started like talking to me and yelling stuff. And then at first I'm just plowing through it. I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, this is one of those sets where I'm just going to have to turn on autopilot and just plow through, do 30 minutes on the dot, and then leave the stage. And they got so rowdy and so bad that I had when you have no choice but to just be like start talking to them, because you're like, I can't just this is insane if I just start talking and ignore everybody. So I'm like yelling at people, then they're like talking to me, and then they're like asking me questions. I'm just answering them real time. I'm like, what do you guys? I'm just like, so then I'm like, I get through like most of my jokes. I hit 30 minutes. Did not, so upset with the crowd, so upset. I didn't talk to the guy whose birthday it was. I just pocketed the 20. I'm like, I hate you guys. You guys suck. And then I'm like, hey, well, you know what? That's my time. Please don't do what you've been doing for that last half hour to your headliner. There's a live show. Please be respectful. Please get up for the headliner. And then he was supposed to do an hour. He did like 40 minutes.
Oh,
and
wow.
He's having a rough time. And he's like, I don't think he's been doing it for a long time, but he's used to just like doing that hour, no funny business. And then, those headliners that just can't deal with heckling, they get like, it throws them off too much. They never get
guilty.
They just can't deal with heckling. It derails their set, and they just start spiraling, and they try to go through bits, but it's just off the rails. It was one of them, which, like, whatever, dude. They were a horrible audience. So I remember I didn't even sell merch after the show. I was like, I'm not even. And that's the only time I've ever done that. The only time I've ever done that. I was like, you know what? I basically stole $20 from this other guy. That's enough. So
I honestly, when you started. Oh, go ahead.
So the show was like horrible. It was so bad. I was like, I've bombed before for that long, but it was like they were so disrespectful. Like if they were just quiet and like staring at me and maybe like, someone cracks a smile, that's fine. But they were like, oh, this is just a dumb clown that we're making. Well, like, it felt like they were bullying me. How bad they were. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt like they were making fun of me.
Yeah,
like this.
I know exactly.
This feels like worse than just a bomb, And same thing that happened to the headliner, and I think it hurt extra bad because my expectations got accidentally too high because it was so full, blah blah blah, and so the show was very bad. Now this is where the night gets worse. I leave the venue and I get in my car and the blizzard starts happening.
Oh no.
And I did not get a room because in my head, and I never checked the weather. I've never checked the weather in my life. And I feel like a lot of people check the weather. I feel like I should start checking the weather. I mean, I should
especially
start
when you're traveling.
Yeah. I never checked the weather. I was like, dude, it's fucking like end of April. I was like, there's no way, global
Famous
warming, we're fine,
words.
dude. Yeah. And I didn't get a room. And I was like, whatever. And I'm driving back. And I don't know if you've ever done Winona to Minneapolis. Do you know like that Great River Road?
Yeah.
It's back road, windy, hilly. So I remember passing like 3 motels and just being like, no, dude, no way.
I got this.
It got to the point where it was snowing so bad and the roads were so covered in snow and I'm going so slow. And I have a Prius, mind you, which actually saved my life because it got so bad. I was like, okay, I'm just pulling pulling into this farm between these tractors and going to bed. So I pulled into this farm. I pulled behind these two like big dumpy truck farm grain trucks, whatever. And I fold the back seats down, lay down. The Prius is great. You can, so I don't know if you know much about Priuses, but they're basically generators on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
You can run the AC or heat like all night long, and it just runs off the hybrid battery. And when the hybrid battery gets like halfway down, the gas engine kicks on for like 30 seconds, charges the hybrid battery, and you're good to go for another like 10 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So they're magical cars. And I got one specifically because I planned on like camping in it and like taking like gigs and maybe something like this happens.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know a couple of comedians who have Prius.
Yeah, they're great. And like I get like 45 miles to the gallon. It's great. 40 to 45, depending on 35 to 45, depending on how I'm driving and highway and whatever. So it was nice because I already had like a sleeping bag and everything. So I got real high. I let the car. I went to bed with a half a tank of gas, and I woke up with a half tank of gas. So
oh wow.
Pretty sick.
That's great. Yeah, right. That's
so
amazing.
then I had the most restless sleep because I'm neurotic. Okay, I'm neurotic. I have anxiety, and all I was thinking about was some farmer coming out and just blowing my brains out.
Oh god,
being like, like all I was thinking about was some
and that's a
farmer.
reasonable worry.
So I'm like just rolling around. I'm sleeping not good, but I'm warm and I'm out of the snow, and I'm off the road. So I wake up in the morning and I'm just like disheveled and cold sweat. I'm like, oh God, I made it through the night. Now I can go home. Bright sunny skies. Roads look plowed. So I get in the car and I put it in reverse, immediately stuck in like a foot of snow. Like there's no way I'm getting out of this without a tow truck. And I call a tow truck and they're like, yeah, and everyone and their brother's getting a tow truck right now. Everyone needs a tow. And I'm waiting 30 minutes. I'm waiting an hour. And then I get a knock on my window and it's this little Mexican guy that works on the farm. And I was like, I had my shirt off and I'm like so high and like I crack my window and like smoke comes out of it and he's like, what are you doing? And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I had to sleep here last night. I had to stay on your farm because of the blizzard and now I'm stuck. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get a tow. I'm really sorry about this. And then he just walks away. And I was like, okay, cool. So I wait another 30 minutes for this tow. Then I waited like maybe like 15 minutes goes by after that. I'm like falling asleep I'm just hoping I don't run out of gas because my car's been running for like probably 15 hours at this point, maybe. And then I hear like an engine and I wake up, I'm like, it's the little Mexican guy. And he's got one of those John Deere like plowy things with like the scoop, and he just starts plowing this driveway to help me get out. And he's going, it's taken a while because there's so much snow and it's a little like, plowy, but it's way faster than if I would have gotten out with a shovel.
Oh, for sure.
So he plows me out and I'm like screaming, like it's like in movies, like when people see that boat on the desert island and they're like, oh dude, we're getting saved. I was like so happy. And then he comes up to my window and he's like, okay, goodbye. And I was like, so I have no cash on me except for that $20 that the guy gave me at the show. And I'm like, I gotta give him this. So I give him the 20 and he's like, and I was like, no, take it. You saved my life, dude. And he's like, I work here. And I was like, all right. I just drove away. And then I start driving, and like 5 minutes into this drive back home, I realized I pulled over in the last possible spot I could have for a while.
Oh,
Like everything
wow.
else was just like little shoulders and then big dips. And I was like, dude, holy crap, man. I could have been in a predicament.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you were already kind of in a
Yeah.
predicament.
Yeah, I mean, I could have been in a worse predicament.
A lot worse. Yeah, that's like one of the worst parts about working the road and doing, especially in these areas where
Yeah.
there is snow. You're driving through blizzards and
Ice roads.
I did a gig up in Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure same booker, and I left early because I knew there was snow coming. There was a blizzard rolling in, and by the
You check
time
the
I
weather.
got,
I got to do
yeah,
that.
well,
Every time
yeah.
it starts raining I'm like on the street walking, everybody whips out an umbrella and I'm like, oh, you just have an umbrella with you? I'm like, oh no, they checked the weather, I bet.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I got on the road early, and by the time I got to the town, it was snowing really good. I thought for sure the show was getting canceled too because it just kept snowing and snowing and snowing. And I show up at the venue, nobody's there. I'm like, oh yeah, this is we're definitely
Why
not
would they?
having a
Why would they
show.
risk their lives to watch comedians?
And then they
know?
did. And I mean, it wasn't like packed, but there was like 14 to 20 people there. So it was like, I was like, all right.
Nice. That's a show.
It was. And it was a good time. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
But going back to your story, I thought for sure you were going to say that, you started bombing. So you decided to finally make fun of that guy's friend. And then that's when it really got worse.
I knew that's what he wanted. So I was like, I don't want to please them anymore. I was like, I'm not doing what you told me to, even if it helps me win you back, because I'm mad at you guys.
That's funny.
I hate this.
I thought for sure it would be like a situation where you start making fun of this guy, and then the rest of the crowd is like, why is this comedian being so mean all of a sudden? Too, and then it makes it worse.
If I started making fun of that guy, it would have only helped my set. And
okay. You're
I did not
nope,
want
you
them.
don't get
I didn't
this.
want them to have fun anymore. I was like, I'm so mad at you guys. You've betrayed me, and you're being very rude, and you're all so drunk, and it's 8 p. I hate Winona. I hate Winona. I do not want to go back to that
You're like,
venue.
I'm never going back.
And so after I went to my parents' house after I got out of the snow, because they lived closer to Winona than my apartment. I was 40 minutes away from my parents' house, and I couldn't drive any farther.
Oh, wow.
So I went to my parents' house, and then I took a shower and everything, went to my apartment in Minneapolis. So by the time I called the tow and like where it is now, it was probably like 6 hours. And they called me back and they're like, hey, our tow's going to be there in like 3 hours. So I would have had to wait 9 hours in that lot.
Oh,
like in that farm, if that guy didn't plow me out. And I was like, hey,
crazy.
I don't need the tow anymore. Also, fuck you. I like, what do you mean 9 hours?
I've noticed, I don't know. What did you do? I know you probably have roadside assistance, so I'm curious. What do you have? I got to
get like AAA or something, but I just had like insurance-y tow stuff.
Okay, that's what I have too.
Yeah,
and
some kind of. I got to get AAA though.
I broke down one time, and I had to wait a few hours for the tow as well. My car just broke down. It just I forget
stuff. Like shitty
I think it was like the catalytic converter or something went out or something.
Oh no!
But either way, it wasn't even like it was just a regular day, and I still had to wait like 3 hours for the tow because they had to and for whatever reason, I was down by Faribault, and and they had to dispatch somebody from like Rochester or somewhere, and I was like, what? Or Mankato, I couldn't remember. I think it was probably Rochester, but I was just like, I'm so close to the cities. Why do I have to wait for somebody to come all the way from this other town that's further away?
Cars have been breaking down since cars have been around. You'd think
exactly.
there would be a better way to help people that are stranded somewhere. But
Yeah, you would
there's
think
not.
tow trucks could
What
get there
kind
a
of
little
what kind of
faster.
car do you have?
Well, I don't have that car anymore. It finally
Mm,
went to crap. But
mm,
that was when I had a Hyundai Santa Fe, which was great for, it got okay gas mileage, and it was big, and one of them cars I could sleep in and, carry equipment, all the things. So I loved it. It was great. But yeah, then finally the transmission went out eventually, and then I was like, I
yeah,
can't keep putting money into this car.
right, right.
So I got rid of it. But yeah, same thing. Like, had to wait for a couple hours. It was wild.
You gotta follow Scotty Kilmore on do you have Twitter still? I couldn't find your
I
Twitter the other day.
don't. I got rid of Twitter. I quit
Okay.
Twitter
Why? X. You quit X.
because oh yeah, X. I quit X. Mostly because there's a lot of just a lot of right wing propaganda that keeps was
Yeah.
showing up on my feed, and stuff. Politicians who I don't follow or have no interest in hearing their
Yeah.
bullshit and things like that. And I
Yeah.
finally was like, okay, it doesn't matter what I do to try to change my algorithm. It's not
Yeah.
working. Like, I went in
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
day and
You would have to like nuke it and start a new one, which is what I did, but I like never use it anyways.
yeah, and maybe that's the way to go. Cause yeah, I even tried, like, I spent one day, I just went through and I liked basically a bunch of like models posts, nerdy
Yeah.
posts, and comedian
Yeah. Yeah.
posts. Like, I just one day
Uh,
just went through, and that I just liked a bunch of that stuff because I
yeah.
was trying to like get them to change my algorithm. I was like,
Yeah. A
let's
bunch
do
of
this.
like e-girls.
Yeah, a bunch of eager, like, I just went through
Yeah.
e-girls,
Yeah. Yeah.
nerdy posts, comic
Yeah.
books, comic comedians, like all this. I was just like going
Yeah.
down, and it was still showing me all the political stuff. And I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm done.
God.
I was like, all right, this is not. I tried everything to try to get my algorithm to change, and it's not changing. So I even tried, like,
I feel like it's
along
easier
with
on Instagram for
it is
the For You
Instagram or
Explore page. It's
TikTok.
much
Yep.
easier to change that. You know what I
Yeah.
found out? Instead of liking things that you want your algorithm to change to, like them and then like send it to somebody.
Oh,
That's what
that's
I did on Instagram. I'll find just like a little baby pig video and send it to somebody. Little puppy hugging
yep.
a monkey. Send it to somebody, like it, throw it down, share it on my story. Now, let me look at my Explore page and see what I
That's
got.
funny. Yeah,
I'll
on
I'll
Instagram or
expose.
TikTok, I don't have any issue changing the rhythm of my algorithm. But
Yeah,
yeah, but Twitter, because I even on Twitter, I even, you were supposed to be able to filter it out by, they had the little settings, and you could put, don't want to see some posts like this, or posts
yeah,
from this
yeah,
person. And even that
yeah,
wasn't working. And I was like, well, this is just bullshit. So finally
yeah,
I just was like, I'm done.
yeah. What I do on Instagram too that I found that makes the app more enjoyable is just muting posts and stories from anybody not even a personal thing. It's just like I don't care, or like I
hmm
don't I mute posts and stories from anybody that like, okay, when you go into Instagram and you see the stuff up here,
Yep.
I just, if I see somebody where I'm like, I don't really care what they're doing ever, I'll just hold down, mute, post and stories.
That's smart, because then you don't
Yeah.
have to unfollow them and make it all weird.
Hmm. No, I don't really unfollow people, but I will mute them and never see anything they post or do, which I feel like
Ain't all
then
bad.
it's just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
don't know.
if I
Social media is
truly, yeah,
definitely getting weird,
yeah, 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 we're
because
not,
I don't know about. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think we were that ready for the internet to be where it is right now.
Oh, absolutely
We
not.
weren't meant to see all these things all the time happening all over the world, everywhere, like every day, all the time.
Yeah,
Like we weren't meant to know everything happening in the
no,
world.
our
You imagine if like
brains don't
the
have the
Aztecs knew
bandwidth.
what was going on like all over the world,
Oh my
or
god.
like if the Aztecs knew like what was this like uh I don't know. You know how there's like weird history timeline things like, oh, the pyramids were being built or what was the fact I learned the other day? It was like the last execution, like guillotine execution in France happened at the same time Star Wars happened.
Oh wow.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
That is wild.
So like the last person to get like guillotine executed happened while like Darth Vader was like, I'm your father. Like that's wild. That's a crazy thing.
That's funny. Do you have a bit about this? Because this is a funny bit.
No, I think maybe I should.
You should probably write that down. And
I watched a video last night that was like giving out facts. Like, yeah, weird timeline, but like, yeah, it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely. And now we just know everything happening everywhere in the world.
And if we don't, you can. All you have to do is get online. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, you can just search, hey, what's going on in Uganda? And you just got it.
Yep. Everything you'll want to know and everything you don't want to know, probably.
Yeah.
It's wild. One thing I've noticed too, like with Facebook and Instagram now, they're really pushing threads. They're popping up like
I'll get notifications that someone posted a thread and I'm not even on Threads.
Oh,
I mean, I am, but I don't have the app anymore. I stopped using it.
Yeah. Well, I see it like even on Instagram. It'll be like, you know how you get like suggested, people to follow or whatever, or same thing now. I'm seeing recent threads, and I'm not even on Threads. I'm on Instagram. I'm like, what is this? I don't want to see this.
I feel like if you delete an app because you don't want it anymore, other apps shouldn't be like, hey, this is what's going on in this app you don't like. I don't think that should.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you doing to me?
Yeah, leave me alone. I don't want this BS. Yeah. Well, going back to the comedy and that show, bombing, obviously you felt like right away, you tried something with some political stuff and in towns like Biden, that, you never know how that's going to go.
And everyone was like, and I was like, you hillbilly backwoods assholes. I hate you guys.
You said that out loud, and that's when
it wasn't even like, hey, I love Biden, and everyone who likes Trump is evil and bad. Like, I didn't say anything like, I can't remember what I said, but I was like, in my head, I was like, I think, because like it was something that would have gotten them at least a little bit on my side, like something they would have, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't a very hard political stance or anything. It was just a joke about Biden. Yeah, and I think they were too dumb. They just heard Biden and they were like, "This guy's a libtard."
Yeah. Trigger word.
Yeah,
yep.
I think I seen that. They're just so stupid. They just heard a word and they heard a name of someone they don't like, and they were like, "I don't like what he's saying."
Yep, I seen that happen in Sioux Falls when I was still living there at one of the comedy clubs there. It was like when Trump was running. And it was Nate Abshire was headlining, and he said something like it wasn't even like I don't even think he got to the joke, but he just said something Trump, and like this lady in the audience freaked out, and just like it was so weird and so awkward, and like she like got up and was like yelling, and just it was ridiculous. And again, I
think this is what I truly
I don't
believe.
even think he said anything.
This is what I truly believe. If there's a topic that will that you can't joke about or that offends you, don't go to a comedy show ever. Yeah, don't ever go to a comedy show without at least research on the comedian.
Yes.
You don't belong there. If anything offends you to the point where like you will walk, don't go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you can't handle abortion jokes, if you can't handle political stuff, if you can't handle cancer, like if you don't have a sense of humor about one thing, don't go to a comedy show. I truly believe that, because you will hear it. I totally agree. You will hear it.
Yep. And I really agree with you on at least researching the talent, because that happens so often. People will come to a show,
but even then they'll be upset, who knows?
Because they don't like that
They're
comic.
not being clean that night.
No, I know, but even they'll come and they'll be like, "Oh, this comic was I didn't like this comic. It wasn't my style of comedy." Well, you should have checked first.
Yeah.
That's kind of on you.
Yeah. I've worked with bigger, like very clean comics that are like known for being clean, and people come to it's like, they have maybe an older crowd, very, very clean, very religious. They like the squeaky, squeaky clean corporate jokes. And I asked him, I was like, do you want me to be clean opening for you? And he said, oh, fuck no, don't be clean. I like it when my openers are dirty. So then I know if I can be a little dirty. And he told me that sometimes he will say something like hell or damn, or like even saying God. And people will come up to him after the show and be like, I didn't like that. I wasn't expecting this from you. I thought you were a good, clean com. Like you can really get like people like that. So.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I think about that often, because I have been labeled as a clean comedian. And it wasn't something like I set out to be. I didn't set out. It has nothing. It isn't like a moral compass that led me to being a clean comedian. I got very lucky, and some of the mentors that I had when I was in San Diego did a good job of making me think about writing clean.
Because it's very good. It's versatile. You can go anywhere with it. If you do a clean corporate, that pays more than a regular. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I'm like,
it's good. It's a good thing to have a bunch of clean stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm just a comedian. I just, I primarily do clean comedy, but also
it's not like you're like.
I don't want to be pigeonholed because if I say something,
if you think a sex joke is funny, you're gonna write it.
Exactly. I don't know that I'll get away with it, being able to, because I found that sometimes is that not even being whether you're being blue or dirty. Like for me, if my dirty is pretty much just profanity. Sometimes I'll swear or whatever, but like if I try to get dirty or super blue, it's not good anyway, because people are, they're like, oh, you're too wholesome for this. You know what I mean? Like they don't take me serious.
They're like, like if you. Yeah, I kind of get that, because if your general vibe is just like if you do like 20 minutes and then you start talking about eating pussy, people are going to be like, why is this little happy little gnome?
Right?
Why is this little jolly gnome
talking about
eating
comic
pussy?
books and video games? How did we get here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a lot of times how it goes, for me anyway. But again, like I said, I think I've talked about it with my co-host on this, and then other comics. I think it's good to be versatile. You need to have all the tools in the belt, because sometimes you need to be able to be lean in and be a little dirtier, especially at like bar shows.
Dude, sometimes
I found
people want the smut. Sometimes people want the smut.
Yep, and that's all they want. I just want some good old fashioned dirty humor.
They don't want to hear about the difference between cats and dogs, or like why windows are weird. They're like, we want to hear assholes and stuff. We want to hear poop jokes.
Yep, that's exactly right. Now, when you have a set, when you like this, obviously you can look back and you kind of see some things that already kind of
also
happened.
I was so mad that he did 40 minutes and I did the full 30. I was like, hey, you idiot, you only did 10 more than I did.
Yeah, and you made way more money than me.
I should have went short. I should have done 20 minutes.
Right? Yeah, I've definitely been there where I've
like you do your part, and then they skimp out, and you're like, we were in this together.
Not a headliner's like, no. I saw what happened there. I was like, I'm out. Not for me.
Howard.
Oh, that's funny. But going back to that, like when you have sets like that, how do you go back and analyze and try to learn from what, those situations? What do you look for takeaways?
Usually I'll realize, what happened, going on, and improve from that. But that night I was like, I don't think anything could even if I didn't say Biden's name up top, they were horrible. They were, and you can't really avoid some things, like I don't think there's anything I could do. Maybe there was something I could have done to make it less horrendous, but it was still going to be a horrible show. These people were there. They were drunk. I can't change that. They were rowdy. They were asking already me to talk to the audience. You know, they were just
Yeah,
they were not
and that's usually a
they
pretty
were
good
not
indicator
a
of how a
good
crowd's going to be.
comedy crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. If they're already trying to get
Yeah.
rowdy
Mhm.
before the show even starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No
it's
order.
interesting too. Yeah, no order. That's
Yeah.
and that's what you get when you're at these bar shows. You just don't know what you're
Right.
going to get.
It's
But
a
I wanted to touch on
gamble.
this. It's really gamble because you were talking about how it looked like it was going to be a fun crowd. It was packed, and you had
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
expectations. And I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm sure you've experienced this, but I've definitely experienced where I've had the opposite of that, where I'm like,
And it
oh, this is
rips.
going to suck. And then it's like
Yeah.
the best show.
Yeah. And it rips. You like double your check with merch and you're like, oh, win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
I've
just like,
definitely had
heck
that.
yeah. Yeah.
That happens
What are you
way
selling
more.
for merch?
I've got koozies.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I got koozies and I got stickers.
That's good. Easy stuff to carry. It's always good
Yeah,
if you can
absolutely.
go
I did
light.
t-shirts for a year. Did t-shirts for a year, and I was like, "This isn't the move."
Yeah, they're so.
You
I
got to deal with
see
all the
comics.
sizes and keeping track of
Yeah,
everything, and
yeah. I've done shirts over the years too, and it's the
you make
same.
more
I just
money.
got.
You can make more money, but it's
You definitely can, but
especially for flying.
yeah, yeah,
You don't
yeah.
want to
That's
bring a bag of shirts on a plane, dude.
No, well, that's hopefully if you're doing that, hopefully you're making enough that you can check
Exactly.
that bag.
Right. And some people do. And then shirts are the
They do,
move,
yeah.
but not I don't know.
At my level,
I know
where I'm at in my
national touring
career,
headliners. Yeah, exactly.
I'm
I know
like,
nationally
t-shirts are
touring
not the
headliners that
move.
are like, I just sell koozies and like stickers and CDs. I don't mess with
Yep.
shirts because they stink. Because you still, even no matter how successful you are, you still got to deal with this, or at least someone has to deal with the sizes and keeping track of everything.
Yep.
And this color and this color, and
Yeah. And
they're
unless
more expensive up front to pay for.
Yep. Unless now I see a lot of comedians, or I know a few comedians who make their own merch. They
Yeah, I
got a
do too.
t-shirt press and
Yep.
they make their, buy their stuff in bulk
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
and if you
they
have the
get arts and
time,
craftsy.
do it. Yep.
Yeah,
Do it
absolutely.
yourself.
If
That's
you're in
great.
stand-up full time and you have time to just like cut up stamps and stamp shirt designs and
Yep.
press them and do it. Why
the
not?
things.
You
Oh,
if you
absolutely.
like doing it, especially.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, that's like with me. Like I said, I've had different kinds of merch over the years. I've tried hats. I've tried, shirts. I liked hats
Never done
more than I
hats.
like. And the only reason I like hats is because most hats is one size fits all.
Mhm.
So it's like you don't have to
And
worry
they're
about
smaller.
the size thing.
Yeah.
And they're smaller. However, hats are sometimes can be more expensive to have made. So the profit margin isn't
Especially if you're
necessarily as
embroidering,
great.
which is what you
Mhm.
usually do for hats.
Yeah, exactly. But outside of that, I've tried koozies, stickers, all the different things.
Mhm.
And now I've been selling the same merch for like the last 5 years, which is a drinking
What do you
game that
sell
I
now?
created.
Oh,
Huh?
okay. Nice.
Yeah, I have a
I said, what do you
drinking
sell
game.
now? Mm,
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. I do stickers and a drinking game. And
nice.
yeah, the drinking game has been selling great.
It's that
So
dice game, right?
yep. Yep.
Nice.
And,
Hell yeah.
it's great because I make it myself. And that was part of when I came up with the concept. I don't know do you know Skylar Bulks?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. So yeah, him and I were, I don't remember
Another
where
Prius
I think-
guy.
Yeah, another Prius guy. Yes. Who has converted his into a camper pretty much.
That's what I did.
Yep. But yeah, we were on the road somewhere and he helped me workshop the game or whatever. But when I was doing it, I wanted something that I could make myself so that if I have my supply
And
with me, if I run out of merch on the
a
road,
lot of parts.
I can make it myself.
Mhm.
And I had to do that where I've ran out of merch and next day I just sit there and quickly make some.
Yep.
So it's great, easy thing. And it's small. That's the other thing that's nice about
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
I carry my merch box is just a briefcase. It holds my stickers, it holds my credit card machine and everything I need right in this little briefcase.
I've experimented with a few different merch ideas, and one of them, which I don't know why I stopped doing, I should probably go back to it. Those little zines, those little books that you can make.
Oh, okay.
So I was making like comics on Twitter several years ago, and I was putting out like one a week. And then I was like, this is hard. I don't want to make a new comic every week. But I had like maybe 20 of them, and I just took like 6 or 8, put them into his set it up on like Illustrator and Photoshop, and then formatted everything, printed out the piece of paper, cut it, folded it into the little booklet, and it was just like a little comic book.
Oh, that's cool. That's a really cool concept.
I actually think I have one. 1 second.
That's really cool. And we're here waiting. He's going to go see if he can find his comic book to show those people who are watching the video. If you're listening to the audio, you're not going to be you're not going to be able to
leave it in.
See this. There we go. He's back. Awesome. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it's just like little comics, and they're all like medieval themed with like goblins and stuff. This one has weed on it, but
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a cool. And
then on the back,
oh, nice. Yep.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just these little comics I made, and I sold those for like, I think I sold them for like $5, or it was pay what you want or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome. And that was something you could just make yourself at home?
Yeah, all I would need to do is, I mean, obviously after I drew everything and illustrated everything and put the text in, it was just a matter of printing out a sheet of paper and folding it up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. And like I said, anything you can make it at home or make
definitely
real
it
quick
costs you like nothing.
Yeah,
I think and like I have a printer, my parents have a printer, but otherwise I think it's like 75 cents to get a piece of paper like this printed at like a print shop or a library or something.
Yeah, fairly cheap. That's great. So now when you're on stage, you're performing, you feel like you're losing the audience or a joke doesn't land, you're losing them. What goes through your mind and what do you try to do to deviate from that?
I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's just a matter of like changing the energy a little bit, maybe getting a little more energetic. Maybe you like acknowledge that like, okay, you guys hated that. I don't know. Usually I just kind of keep going, shift a little bit, try to I don't really like, I don't know. I don't think I care that much if a joke is, especially if the whole set's fine or good.
Yeah.
Or like I'm killing and one joke just doesn't get something. I'm like, whatever, I'll just keep going. Cause I have a joke that's about I would say a 70-30 hit rate, right? But which usually, or maybe it's a 60-40, which usually I wouldn't keep that in a main set. If that's kind of the average of like 40% not doing that well, people don't like it. And 60% people, and that's why I keep it, is because that 60% of the time it works, it really hits. And I'm willing to take the gamble. I'm willing to have some groans,
take the risk.
Yeah. And usually I'll feel it out if I'm feeling the crowd's gonna like it or they're good, and I'm like, all right, you guys deserve this one. And I have a few jokes like that where it's like if I'm crushing, but I've got an itch that they're like not gonna mess with it, maybe just leave it out. Maybe I'll just do it anyways because I think it's funny and I like it. And sometimes they surprise me. Sometimes they dig it.
Yeah, that's and that's just it. You never know till you try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's easy for.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say it's easy to.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of like pandering. I'm not going to be like, I'm doing my set. I'm doing the bits I want to do. I'm doing my time. I'm doing the set. And if you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to like, be like,
sometimes that's the good way to look at it. to have that mindset, because and I mean, you obviously you showed that when you're talking about your story, because you didn't give in to them even though they paid you to do that. You were like, you know what, I'm not giving into this. I'm not pandering.
Yeah, I hate you guys.
That's funny. What's your writing process like? Like for that, what's an evolution for a joke for you, where you idea to it's going into set?
There's a few different ways I'll go about writing a bit. And one of the most common ones is an idea just kind of comes to me. Something happens. I remember something. And I'm just like, God, that's a good bit. That's funny. And then I pretty much write a few lines that I think are funny. Either like a punchline or a line that I think is funny. And then I'll build it around that. And I'll just pretty much write out most of the joke. Probably more than I need to. And then I do it at a few mics. Usually when a joke just kind of comes to me, or an idea or a line kind of comes to me that I think is funny, and I build around it, and I write. It usually pretty much works almost right away. And all I have to do is cut the fat and cut out lines that aren't necessary. And then after it's kind of at its bones, I'll punch it up and add more to it. The other way I have bits, which is a less fun way, but I think maybe a little more, you can get better stuff out of it, is just writing. Just start writing, and then,
like free writing.
Yeah, free writing, mindlessly, just kind of brainstorming. And I found out that I don't like doing that much. I like having at least a little nugget to work with. So sometimes, instead of free writing, because I'm a slow typer and I have horrible handwriting, I'll either drive, or I'll just sit around home alone, and I'll just audio record myself just rambling about stuff.
And then listen back
and
to
then
it.
And then usually, if I do that long enough, like sometimes it takes like 3 to 5 minutes, but eventually I'll start rolling on something, and then that'll evolve into something, and then I'll start thinking of a joke, and then I'll stop by audio recording, and then I'll start writing.
Okay. Yeah, especially the audio note thing. That's a really good way to do it. I mean, I know a lot of writers that you used to do that with like old tape recorders, and now it's like with our phones, you got an audio recorder right there. So why not?
Yeah.
I'm pretty lazy.
I've tried,
I need to get more. I need to get better at my writing practices.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll like have an idea, have a few lines, have a loose story, and just kind of free ball it right on stage at a mic or something, like Acme or a good mic. I'm not going to just, throw shit at a wall at a mic that like I can't get anything from. But if there's a good crowd, I'll do like, I like doing brand new stuff with really good crowds at mics, because I feel like that's the fastest and easiest way to know. Some people, I feel like if they go into a hot mic or a club mic or something, they're like, oh, I want to do good. But I'm
guilty of that.
Especially if I'm past at that club, or I work at that club already. I'm just like, I'm doing a brand new thing. And if it ends horrendously, whatever, dude, now I know. And usually you're confident enough, and, you sell it, and, you get better at writing, and, at least something will work, or it'll kind of work. And you'll be like, well, it didn't work enough for me to want to keep working on this though.
Yeah, definitely been there. That's and I know I found where I'll have that situation where it's like, if this isn't worth doing, and I'll just shelve it, and then a couple years down the road, it's like, oh, hey, now I have the skills as a writer to actually do something with this.
Exactly. Yeah. You shelf it. I never throw bits away, but I'll shelf them for years.
Yep.
My move, if I've got a bunch of jokes. Yeah, exactly. Throw it back into the bit oven, cook it up a little bit, bake it more.
Yeah, maybe throw it in the microwave.
Yeah. If I've got like brand new shit, and I'm working on like a brand new like 3 or 5, I'll go to a mic, and my move is to open with something I love, something short that works, that I've been doing, And if it relates to or gets me into the new stuff, even better. So I'll do something like that, and then I'll just do new stuff until I'm done with my time's up. I don't close mics if I'm working on new stuff. I want to get as much new stuff in as I can. I don't care about winning them back.
You're more just about trying to get them at the beginning, and then
I'm like, if I start strong and that joke gets a pop, if the rest of it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't need to close strong. That's wasting time. It's a mic.
Oh, that's a good perspective.
People will be like, oh, you got to make the new bit sandwich. You got to start strong, put in the new stuff, and then close strong. And I'm like, you just got to open strong. Open with something that hits. Who cares about how the rest of it goes? It's a mic. You're doing new stuff. People didn't pay.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, well, and I always look at with mics, have some goals. So
yeah,
that's the way have some goals. I mean, you're not there to be the best comedian of the night at an open mic. You're there to work. Yeah,
you're there to work on stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not a showcase. You're not auditioning. It's not a late night.
Yep. Exactly. Well, this has been fantastic. We're going to do a couple quick things and then we're going to wrap up. Since we always talk about bombing, I like to talk about, fun gigs too. So I always like at the end to finish up with a positive story. So one of your favorite gigs that you've done in your career. It doesn't have to be the best gig ever, just one of your personal favorite gigs.
One of my personal favorite gigs actually also happened this year. I was featuring at Acme Comedy Company for Geoffrey Asmus, and that was the most fun week of comedy I've ever had, I think. His crowds were nuts. Oh. It was something was going on. It was like 4th of July or something like that. So it was what you would think would be a rougher sales week.
Mm-hmm.
Every show sold out. Every show
that's
sold
amazing.
Out. Moved merch. Tipped me at the end of the week. Very nice. Love Jeff. I'm so glad he's popping like he is. He works so hard, and I think he's like one of the funniest people I know.
Oh yeah, he's killing it. I don't know him personally. I feel like maybe I feel like I might have met him. I feel like he did an album release thing at Sisyphus.
Yeah,
when I lived there, and I went to the show. I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, or he recorded an album there, I don't remember, but it was it was a great show.
It was a special.
Okay, that's what it was.
He recorded a special at Sisyphus.
Well, I don't know. Was it? I wonder.
I mean, maybe he was just headlining when you saw it, but he was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
I
it was
just
a release
remember
party or something. But he did record his special at Sisyphus.
Okay, cool. And I mean, it might have been that too. I just don't remember. Like I said, again, I know who he is. I don't think I've met him personally, but I've seen him and he's great.
Sure. He's so funny.
Last question. Mo, we have the Art of Bombing Get Pumped playlist. It doesn't have to be a song to get you pumped for comedy, just a song that just gets you pumped. What's a song that you would add to the playlist?
MOP, Annie Up, Robin Hood Theory.
MOP, Annie Up.
Annie Up, Robin Hood Theory.
Got it.
The best pump up song. This will get your adrenaline going, your blood flowing. Open up those veins. Open up the mind.
I love it. All right. We've reached that point of the show. Before we get out of here, thanks again for doing this. Where can people
thanks for having me.
Direct them to your socials.
Instagram at James Stanley Comedy, TikTok at James Stanley Comedy. And then me and my friend Max Chapman, also a really funny Minneapolis comedian. We have a podcast called This Is Something, Man. And we release an episode every Friday.
Awesome. All right. Well, check that all out. Thanks again for doing this, James.
This has been
Dan. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.